Okay. I'm going to give everybody a little something to actually look at this time. I'm doing a recording. I know a lot of my recordings are just blacked out. Sometimes I might have something in there for you to look at. This time I've got a few books, just some I just happen to have on hand right here with me. Some I have read, some I am currently reading, or maybe I've listened to an audiobook, whatever. The Saga of the Volsungs, I highly recommend. I haven't read a paperback edition of it yet, so when I read this will be the first time I've actually read an edition of it. I have listened to a couple of different versions of audiobooks, which always good, very easy. You can just be driving and listen to it. Irish paganism. As I've stated before, I like to study more than one form of pre-Christian European spiritual practices or faith, religion, whatever term you prefer. Especially if I have actual blood ties to it. And Celtic, heathenry or paganism is one of those that I have a blood tie to. This particular book, by Pagan Portals, I think is the publishing. Morgan Danemiller is the name at the bottom there. I don't overly recommend any books by her. She's clearly a bit on the liberal, feministic side, which she gets into in the later portions of the book. Towards the last couple of chapters, I mean, she makes it a point to talk about racism is not allowed and you can't exclude people and that kind of stupid crap, which we all know anything can be exclusive or inclusive. Any group of people can choose to be exclusive or inclusive. At your own family reunion, you're being exclusive to people who are not family members coming to your family reunion. Well, these pre-Christian faiths are part of our family history. They're part of our blood history, part of our people's history. So obviously, yes, we can, and we have every right to be exclusive to people of the same background and heritage as us, because it's part of our inherited ancestral cultural memory. It's part of our cultural heritage. Lost Gods of England, Kathleen Herbert, I believe is how that's pronounced. It's an extremely small, thin book, similar to the other Irish paganism one, as you can see there. These are both, thin books. I have some other fairy lore and fairy faith related books that are also thin like that, not very thick. This book I'm currently, I'd say a little over halfway through reading. Elves, Wights, and Trolls, Kveldolf Gunderson. So far, I'm liking this book. It seems to be very well researched. It has factual information and everything. If he quotes something specifically, he'll put in there where he got it from. What was his source. So far, I'm liking it. Got a lot of good information, a lot of folklore, a lot of historical accounts and tales. Then, obviously, Pocket Edition, Voluspa, and Havamal. This particular one is the Bellows translation, as it says here. Also compiled by Brian Wilton. I like this little pocket carry edition. It's easy to just, put in the pocket of a pair of cargo pants, whatever. I like it. This book is one I just recently finished reading. Paganism Explained, Part 1. Varg Vikernes and his wife Marie. Yeah. After reading this book, I'm probably going to say that I would not suggest any of their books at all. Let me read you a little verse in here. Okay, this is on page 3, Shadows Dancing on the Wall. You can probably see this. Okay. The purpose is not to make people believe in fictional entities and fantastical events. Now you can pause and try to read over more of this if you want to, but nonetheless, yeah, it pretty well states, basically throughout the entirety of the book, that all of the lore, all of it, 100% of it, is completely and utterly metaphorical, not literal in any way, form, or fashion, not historical, not spiritual. It's not even so much as spiritual, it's just metaphorical. And that basically, if you in any way, form, or fashion believe that any of the lore could even so much as be real at all, in any way, form, or fashion, you are an ignorant child. Basically, that's where you are within your state of mind. You're nothing but just an ignorant child that doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. You just believe in Santa Claus. You know, that's pretty much what they're saying in that book. Yeah, it's pretty far out there, some of the stuff. I mean, for one, like in some of the translations, they refer to, instead of Mjolnir being a hammer, what it actually is just a rock. They translate it as being rock. You know, hammer is rock. Okay, Mjolnir wouldn't be this precious magical weapon if it was nothing but a damn rock. You can find a fucking rock anywhere. Two, the name Mjolnir translates to crusher. But then later, his wife, explains that, well, what it's actually talking about when Thor's hammer is stolen is really when he went to sleep that night he died, and his hammer is actually his heart. Okay, for one, hammer, heart, two different things. Stone or rock and hammer, two different things. Stone, rock, or heart, again, two different things. Mjolnir, crusher, hammer, or rock, whichever one you want to prefer. So crusher, rock, hammer. None of those mean or even remotely correlate to a human heart in any way, form, or fashion. Not at all. Yeah, I'm not even going to try to go into that. I would just have to sit here and read it to you, but I don't want to, I wouldn't want to get some kind of copyright infringement, so, like, hey, you're giving away a free audio book or something, so I won't read it, but, I mean, maybe if you can find a free version of it, hey, go ahead. But yeah, it's bad. It's just bad. And she talks about that female bears are apparently able to pick and choose exactly, how many offspring they have, or whether or not they even bother to have offspring at all. Once they've been impregnated, they choose when they're born, how many they have, or if they have any. Okay, I've heard, and read some scientific information in regards to, say, dogs, at least, and certain other animals being able to basically close off, I guess, their, the access to their ovaries. So even when they're mated by a male animal, the semen and the sperm, they're not able to get to and fertilize an egg. That's one thing. The female never became pregnant in the first place. She blocked off her, her ovaries and her eggs and made it so that she wasn't able to get pregnant. That's one thing. But saying that they have complete and utter control over their inner workings, that they're able to choose, pick and choose how many female, how many offspring they have, that's just ludicrous. That's just insane. She talks about how, well, a big, large, fat, very healthy female, obviously she can choose to have 3 cubs because, well, she's healthy. Versus this skinny, malnourished one, obviously she's going to choose not to because she knows she can't care for it. Have you ever thought to think, Miss Murray, that perhaps a unhealthy, malnourished bear simply wasn't able to carry and produce a healthy living offspring, versus the super fat, heavy, healthy female could, because she was healthy, extremely healthy, and had plenty of weight and nourishment on her, so her body was able to produce healthy, viable offspring. You ever think that maybe that's just the possibility there? Because as far as I'm aware, there's no scientific evidence, period, to support your theory that they can just pick and choose how many offspring they have. But yeah, I'm talking a little bit too much about this book that I don't even recommend reading. It's just so far out there. But yeah, these are just, like I say, just a handful of books. Read this one all the way through. Read this one all the way through, which, I mean, obviously they're easy, they're small. This one, same thing. Probably spent half them all. This one took maybe 30 minutes to read, if that. This, I still need to read the actual paperback edition of it, but I have listened to audio versions of this book more than once, and a few different little translations. This one, like I say, I'm roughly about halfway through the Elves, Wights, and Trolls, but I am liking it thus far. Nonetheless, these are just a few things that I thought I'd make a quick video about for a little bit of a book review, if you will. So yeah, I'm already over 10 minutes, so I'm probably going to have to go ahead and cut it there. It might take me a little bit to get this video uploaded, but nonetheless, gives you something to look at, gives me something to talk about. So, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.